What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the greatest podcast in the world, Shooting the Shit Uncensored. I am your host, The Truth, Piers Austin, and once again, I am joined by one of my favorite people in the entire world, Mr. Robbie Zucco. Thank you very much for being on this episode yet again. It's great to have you on once again.
Thank you very much for always having me, Piers. And you're looking younger every single day.
Oh,
do
mate.
You, do you shave?
Oh, mate, you can't ask me such personal questions on here, mate. Come on. But, mate, look, it is a bit of a somber week. The last couple of weeks, there's been a couple of passings in the wrestling community. We lost Salem, who was a brother of yours, someone that you had wrestled many times, Rob, over the years. And we also lost, super fan and also super fan of the podcast. And I was saying this earlier that Mr. Kyle Eade, who we lost earlier this week, he was like the first regular viewer of this show. And then he was like tuning in every time I would go live, every time a new shit would drop or podcast, everything like that. And man, like I'm really going to miss his energy, especially when we go live and we do that. So Kyle, you are missed. We love you. Salem, we love you as well. You will be missed as well. So rest in paradise, boys.
That's it. Rest in peace. And like I said, it was a tough time for pro wrestling in Australia. That's for sure. So let's just do our best to make the most of it and enjoy what's coming forward. So yeah, let's just hope for more of a reality check when it comes to appreciating people.
100%, man, and just maybe treating people a little bit nicer as well. I feel, and just appreciate the people that you have in your life, especially the good ones. But man, tonight we have a special guest joining us once again.
Let's amp it up. Let's amp
it up. Let's amp it up for Kyle and Salem tonight. We're dedicating this show to both of those gentlemen. We love you. Rest in paradise, boys. Tonight we have the one, the only, the king, Tyson Gibbs, returning to the podcast. Are you excited, Rob?
Oh my God. It's always good to talk to Tyson. He's a wealth of knowledge. He's been in the business for 20 or so years. And he's obviously, it's always great to hear what he's got to say. So he's a sensational worker. So let's hear him out.
Well, without further ado, let's get into it. Let's go, you and me, Rob, and let's break it down with the one, the only Tyson Gibbs, baby. Welcome back to the greatest podcast in the world, Shooting the Shit Uncensored. You know who this is. It's the truth, the dad bod god, the bald, the beard, the beautiful Piers Austin. And I'm with Robbie Zucco, and our guest this evening is one of my favorite people in the entire world. I know I say that about every person I bring on this podcast. This time I actually mean it. Tyson Gibbs, welcome back to the show.
Good evening, gentlemen.
What's happening, Magnum? You doing good?
Killing it, mate. How about you?
Oh, mate, I'm trying to kill it, but it doesn't work every time. But yeah, I'm enjoying life.
Yeah, man.
Mate, what the fuck?
What are you dripping with, buddy?
What am I dripping with?
Hey, bud, how are ya?
I think
This
that
one's for
name
you,
might be a
bro.
swerve. Yeah.
Yeah. It's, Gibbs,
Yeah.
man, welcome back, bro. Welcome back to the podcast. Great to have you back. I think we should probably just start off. What's been going on lately? What's been up with
What
you
do
lately?
you guys want to talk about?
Well, I don't know. You tell me. No. Look, last time you were on the podcast, let's address the elephant in the room. There was a lot of.
There was an elephant.
Oh,
Not
mate, that
not
was
an
so long
elephant.
ago.
I
don't
know.
think anyone
I know.
thinks about
I know.
that stuff anymore. Yeah, I mean, part of the introduction could have been the only man to be censored off shooting the shit uncensored. I think that's one of my claims to fame.
Which, let's be honest, I did bring that back. A couple of weeks later, I was like, nah, it just didn't feel right to me.
Yeah, but it's kind of the era of the angry, outraged minority mob that likes to shriek at people and say unnecessary, ridiculous things because they get their little feelings a little bit hurt over things that honestly never even transpired, were said, or anything like that. And then the evidence of those things never being said disappeared because sometimes, we can all get spooked, I suppose, and bend to their will, and then we end up doing something silly like backing down and censoring ourselves on shooting the shit uncensored. And
right to censor.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think it sets a bad precedent to do something like that. I think it sets a bad precedent to let these fucking idiots get their way.
Yeah.
I'm very sorry that there's people out there that think they disagree with me, but I think upon further inspection and actual conversation and listening, instead of just going with your most emotional moment first, you might realize we've got more in common than you think. And maybe I'm not out to try and upset people. It's purely a view on something that really isn't an emotional issue, guys. The amount of ridiculous bullshit. Mind you, none of it came my way. All of it went Piers' way for platforming this monster.
Yeah.
But, here we are again.
You can see that Piers. You can see that Piers did review it all, and when he actually came to the realization that, hey, you know what? You've got your own opinion. You can say what you want. It's his show. So basically, no, you don't. You're not going to be banned from the show. You know what I mean? It's my show. I put you on, and whatever you say, you say. There's a reason why there's titled "Shooting the Shit." You know what I mean? People won't like your opinions. People are not going to like everybody's opinions. But yeah, as you said, you can't just take off content because of the fact that there's a few naysayers. Because we all have them. Every single podcast, you're going to have people that are not going to like. Yeah, all of them. So,
yeah, I mean, look, there's never anyone that's going to be a fan of it, absolutely every single person and not going to be get along with every single person. That's fine. But I feel everyone has a right to an opinion. And when I went back and reviewed the podcast, and I reviewed it multiple times after I deleted it. And even my wife reviewed it as well. So I took someone who's from an outside opinion, someone who's a very strong woman as well. She watched it and she said, look, I didn't find anything of what he said offensive. She said, but also I don't really know the wrestling world and didn't really understand half of it. She goes, but I'm also not a woman in that world who has dedicated her life to that. So she said, I'm not in that position to really have an opinion about it as well. So, but she said, on a cultural basis or whatever, she was like, I didn't find anything about it that offensive.
No, look, man, it had nothing to do with anything that I said so much as it was a bunch of people who already had decided that they didn't like me, they had an issue with me, and they were going to shriek until they got their way. And what they wanted was to not have me involved in their little tea party, to borrow a phrase. So yeah, I don't work for IWA anymore as a result of that. It's a shame. I spent a long time at IWA, and it was my home for the longest time. It was the only place that I worked for the best part of 20 years. It meant a lot to me. And to have that taken away by the caretaker, based on not even 2 or 3 people, as barely anyone really gave a shit. Nobody contacted me. No one told me that I had an issue with anything that I said. It was people that wanted to get rid of me a long time ago, and this was the catalyst. This gave them an excuse. It gave them something that they could point to and go, here's the reason, been trying to get rid of you for a long time. We've made it very obvious that we're not a fan of yours. But here we are. Here's the controversy. Here's the thing that's the big problem. So we're going to inflate it, and we're going to, shout it from the rooftops, and we're going to fire you 2 days out from a date via messenger.
If you could sit down with, like, say the other, wrestlers in the industry that were like upset about what they read in the article, because I feel like what was written and how it was written, like, I'm not saying it was written badly, but I'm saying, like, when you read something and when you hear it, like, the context is always different. And like, you know what I mean? Like if you could have the opportunity now to sit down with, say, a handful of these women and have a conversation, like, what would you say to them about it? If they said, like, we were upset about what you said, like, how would you address
Well, yeah, I think honestly the article probably did more damage than the actual video itself, right? Like, the way that the article framed everything, like, if you could read the quotes, and in all fairness, all those quotes from that article were direct, they were verbatim, they were accurately recorded. However, I feel like the context that they were presented in was intentionally inflammatory. The idea was to make it so, this is a bad thing this guy has said, subtly, in such a way so a few people grabbed a hold of it, a few people got pissed about it, promoted about it and stuff. But in terms of sitting down with the people who have a problem with me, I don't think it'll be a very long conversation, because I don't think they've actually gotten in real accusations against me. We could have a chat, we could have a discussion, I could put my view forward, they could disagree, we would walk away both disagreeing with each other. And it's the sense in, I'm not trying to convince people of my way of thinking. I'm not trying to tell them that mine is the only way to go about things. I'm sorry you don't feel. I'm sorry you don't agree, but I don't care.
Yeah, we've all got different views on this. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. And if you can't accept someone's opinion or view and not have that intellectual conversation with somebody, then you're not going to get there. And as you said, you'll come across these people and they'll never mention it to you. You know what I mean? I'll write it down.
Heaven forbid. Heaven forbid people are honest for 5 fucking minutes. Huh?
Yeah. Keyboard warriors. That's the thing. You'll get that.
Yeah.
You're gonna.
No, it's a relatively, I don't know, maybe it was going on. I've only been back for realistically a year, right? I came back in April of last year to wrestling. So I had been away from it. I hadn't mixed with much of it. I hadn't been involved in the scene. But goddamn, there's a lot of people writing a lot of bullshit on the internet that there's no way that they would say in reality. There's a lot of people fucking clicking up and stabbing people in the back that would, they're all handshakes and hugs when you see them in real life. But, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the influence of social media and the internet. We've got a lot of people that love drama, that love that controversy, and everyone loves to fucking get in a circle and hate that one person, even if it's only for 5 minutes. I honestly think a lot of people have moved on. When was the last time we did this podcast? 3 months ago?
Oh,
long time ago.
Yes, 4 months. Oh, yeah, it was a while ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
So why is it you think? Do you think it's a wrestling thing, or do you think it's just life? And because of the actual the situation in wrestling, it's kind of a fake reality, that we live in.
Yeah.
Or a false sense of reality that we live in. Do you think that's what causes these type of issues?
Yeah, I think people are very easily emotionally manipulated these days. It doesn't take much to drive them fucking nuts and do something crazy or say something fucking crazy. Look at the way, probably what in the last 5 or 6 years, the way that things like politics have changed. The way politics works now is like it's more emotional and based on knee-jerk reactions and single issue voting than ever before. People don't really engage with the political process outside of picking a team and hating the people on the opposing team or the perceived opposing team. Everything's very oversimplified. Everything's made to be black and white to divide people as hard as possible so that there's no nuance. There's no real discussion. You've always got two sides to every major issue, whether it be, all these political issues that like, voting rights and the United States is like obviously the most straightforward example of this, just the way that like issues are made to be polarizing intentionally because that is how you galvanize your base and you ensure that they identify their enemy easier. Is you make everything real straightforward, real simple. This guy's very bad and you're very good for agreeing with this particular opinion. And it's getting fucking crazy out there, man. Like, I think people enjoy being outraged. I think it's quite cathartic for a lot of people on like some sort of primal level, something like that. Everyone loves to feel like they're part of the group. And if you can find someone that's on the outer, there's someone that you can all identify as this common enemy. Everyone bands together. It's this ancient tribal instinct sort of feeling where they're like, that's the bad guy over there. That's the guy that don't worry about us. We're safe. We're in numbers. We're all on this side.
So it's a life thing. It's not just a wrestling thing.
No, I think our basic human nature has kind of been hijacked by like marketing, media, advertising, politics, religion, everything. Like it's just they know how to work us now. They know how to really make crazy things happen. Like let's not forget like how wild that last, what was it, 2, nearly 3 years of pandemic nonsense was. Like that was making people insane. That was making people act in a way that they wouldn't normally. And it was all driven by emotion from, there's a very dangerous bug out there. And then when they figure out that it's not that dangerous, they're like, well, you better get vaccinated. Otherwise you're a bad person. And not only are you a bad person, but we can take away your living. You aren't allowed to go shopping certain places. You have to stay in your house. Like, and everyone just went along with it because they were emotionally driven to do it.
But it's like recently, or not too recently, but when like the whole speaking out thing happened and Joey Ryan over in the States got cancelled for being a sex pest and like all these multiple allegations came out about him, got booted out of the business. Like the guy was clearly like without a doubt guilty of doing some horrendous shit to some women. Then like they said, we want him out of the business, go do something else. A photo of him appears working a job at like Disneyland, and then like the next day they get like 1,000 phone calls saying you need to get rid of this guy and fire him, and he loses his job. So like he left the business, he got out of it. Like what he did was horrendous. It's horrible. I'm not trying to justify it, but like you know what I mean? Like if he's left the business, he's out of the spotlight. Like, you know what I mean? Like everyone should have a right to at least make money. You know what I mean? Like,
start somewhere else. Yeah. And restart.
Yeah. Unless they're a criminal, then they should be convicted and be in prison. That's,
I don't know what Joey Ryan did. I don't know anything about his individual case. I know there was some, like you hear the vague hearsay, like, he's a pest or whatever. But like,
he like, exposed himself in front of many women and forced himself on women.
Well, that's kind of criminal, isn't it? Shouldn't that be pursued in some way?
Did he get convicted? Did he get convicted for anything?
I have no idea. I don't know anything about the case.
I don't think so. I don't think anyone from the speaking out thing actually got convicted. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I don't know how many police investigations there were.
Would you say that's more naming and shaming rather than, because if you're, look, I understand if you get convicted. So if something happens to somebody, I'd say, okay, go to the police. You know what I mean? My intention would be, to post it. You know what I mean? Because it just means that they wouldn't want to take it any further, but they want them to go through hell for the rest of their lives. You know what I mean? For what they did.
Yeah.
But they don't want to pursue it. So I don't understand that. If they did something criminal, go to the police. I really don't understand that mentality. They just want to get back at them, but they don't want to send them to jail. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
I don't.
Like if you can get a mob rolled up, they can make things happen. Like you say, like there was thousands of people, whatever, reporting Joey Ryan and getting him fired from Disneyland, and that shows the effectiveness of the mob. However, I feel like their outrage is misplaced. Like honestly, in the grand scheme of things, do you really give a fuck about what Joey Ryan is fucking doing when we have so many more horrific things going on in this world that could use a bit more attention? Like I honestly I don't know how, just prior to the pandemic, just before all the people who run everything started telling us that you have to stay home for 2 weeks. Actually, it's 3 months. Actually, it's a year. Actually, it's 2 years. And now you have to take this fucking experimental fucking drug, and it's gonna stop you getting the disease. It won't really stop you getting the disease, but it'll stop you getting sick. It won't stop you getting sick, but it'll stop you dying. It won't stop you dying. Like, they walked everything back. They were proven to be fucking liars this whole goddamn time. And just before that, all these people who were telling us what to do with our lives that nobody got pissed off at were proven to be fucking mates with people like fucking Jeffrey Epstein. And that's a whole other fucking... You want some mob justice? Let's do some fucking mob justice, guys.
100%,
What the fuck?
100%.
Why are we, all pissed off at each other and fucking pointing fingers at people because they disagree with this? And you're on that team, you're on the blue team, and no, I'm on the red team of politics. Like, who gives a fuck? Like, there's much bigger problems in this world that need attention, and we're so easily fucking... They wave their little hands and they fucking show us the puppets, and off we go. We go chasing the fucking... the less important shit. It just... It's incredibly frustrating.
Isn't it crazy the way everyone reacted throughout the whole process? Could you imagine if we were bombed? Kind of like Ukraine.
I know. Like,
we wouldn't know to anything. I look at it from more of like the human race on how they reacted. You know what I mean? Put aside the virus and whatnot. I was just more like in awe on how people react in survival mode. It's like, wow. It's like, if there was a zombie apocalypse, if there was a zombie apocalypse, if there was like a bomb or something like that, we would know what to fucking do. We'll be killing each other left, right, and center. You know what I mean? It would be mayhem. So I was like, fuck me. Like, if they reacted that way for that, could you imagine what it'd be like if something worse like that happened? So it's
people were punching on at Woolworths over fucking toilet paper. Can you imagine if it was food? If it was clean drinking water?
I know.
We're not all in this together. That was the tagline. We're all in this together. We're going to flatten the curve. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. People fucking share toilet paper.
No, nobody wants the toilet paper. It's we should reenact it.
Giving away the fucking nasal swab test for free at the fucking doctors and shit. Remember they were like $100 a box or whatever?
Yeah.
Can't give the fucking things away. Like,
hey, but big shout out to Content Cat here saying, be careful about the virus talk, could get the podcast demonetized. We don't want to have less content. No, we don't want that. Talking about being monetized, we are monetized there, Content Cat, so feel free to drop a super sticker in the chat. Much appreciated. Go on, drop some.
Support this awesome podcast.
That's it. But, I feel like I actually saw a post recently, and it said, whenever you're like successful and succeeding in life, someone will come out and remind everyone what you were doing in 2004.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's fucking nuts.
Yes. Yeah, the internet's forever, guys. Be careful. Be careful out there.
I mean, like, did you get contacted at all, like, after the podcast? Like, did anyone say anything like negative to you?
No, it was all positive. Every single person that contacted me told me they didn't understand what was going on, what the problem was. Some people actually listened to me. Okay. But yeah, I didn't get any negative feedback whatsoever. None at all. Apart from obviously getting punted from IWA.
Do you think there's a way for you to get back on IWA, and like, is that something that you want to do?
Well, I don't want to be there, honestly. It became increasingly apparent that I wasn't wanted there anyway. So why would I try and push a bucket of shit uphill? I've got other shit going on now. I'm really enjoying the training and stuff with Australian Wrestling Superstars. We've got a nice little venue at Mortdale that we're building very nicely. Good repeat crowd. I mean, I'm doing all the things in wrestling that I wanted to do. You know, I don't need to go begging for fucking shows, man. Like, especially to go work with people who are going to behave in such a way, like before.
How have you found, you know, doing the training and stuff like that? Has that made you start to enjoy wrestling a bit more?
Training is the thing that I'm enjoying the most in wrestling at the moment. Doing my own training, obviously, like leading up to the Iron Man match that I did with DJ Sonic. It was good. I would do a lot of, 30, 40, I think I did an hour, just like for conditioning and stuff, just like, like that part of it's been good. And I think my conditioning has come up really well, and I've zoned in on that wrestling specific conditioning that's not, you can't get on a treadmill, you can't get running on the road and stuff.
It's a different conditioning. It's a totally different conditioning altogether. You could go on the treadmill, train for an hour, but as soon as you make contact with someone, it's like jiu-jitsu. You make contact within 5 minutes, you're dead. You know what I mean? It's a just different
that grinding, low gear cardio.
Yeah.
But that's been amazing. But also, like, a real motivating factor is, like, I've been running Sunday classes in the mornings, and I've got some young guys, some guys who are still newish, still in the first couple of years of wrestling and stuff, and to train with them and to apply the things that I've learned over the years and pass those on to those guys, and to see them improve, to see their conditioning improve, to see their work improve, and to see them enjoy that improvement is my favorite thing in all of the business right now. Shows are fun. That's all great. But like the actual training, I've been training a lot with Akel and Jack Lagore, and both those guys are fucking really picking up a lot of stuff. Their fitness is going through the roof real quick. And if I could have a locker room full of guys like that, I am set, boys. Like,
sometimes it's what you need, isn't it? You just need the ones that not the most talented ones, but have the right attitude. You know what I mean? If you were to choose the most talented one with a bad attitude and the one that doesn't have any talent with a good attitude, you're going to choose that one all the time because, you know what I mean? So
I think too, like some people, there's some people just have a real natural grasp of the business. Like there's a type of thinking, there's a mentality, there's like a logic sort of process that wrestling works well with that some people have, some people don't have, and these guys have it, and it's awesome. So we get to.
Do you think that a lot of the young guys that you're training, when they do a lot of stuff, because I come from that obviously that old school of thought, but also too, I try and mix it up with what's happening today when I'm wrestling my shows. Do you think that they're overcomplicating things, overthinking things when they're in the ring?
I think a lot of people tend to do that, but that's because what's become quite popular, at least on the indie scene, and what we see like with AEW, which is like an indie with money, is a lot of overcomplicated stuff, a lot of stuff where the entertainment is derived not from selling a conflict, not from selling a suspension of disbelief of two guys, out there trying to beat the fuck out of each other. Instead, it is like, geez, those guys put a good sequence together. And it was very impressive how they remembered all those moves and did some flips, and it's a different mentality entirely now, and it's losing touch with what wrestling was created to be. Like, it started off with like it was shoot wrestling, and then they started rigging these shoot wrestling fights for gambling's sake, and then it developed more and more, and now we had the entertainment thing, and now we've got like this whole new thing. It's evolved a lot, but I think maybe not for the better in a lot of cases.
Yeah. See, I do preach a lot, whenever somebody asks for advice or whatnot, I do ask them, look, go watch 80s wrestling. And people will go like, oh, why? It's so old. It's not that. It's just that they use the basics to a T. See, every single match, they have hip toss, arm drag, drop, Now, the wrestlers are so far advanced. So what you see in an actual match are just these advanced, crazy, cool like moves and whatnot, but they don't actually display their actual wrestling ability, which they do have. You know what I mean? A lot of guys have been trained really well. They are at the top. They just have it. They're just not using the hip toss, arm drags, body slams. They're not using all these moves. So generally, the young guy is actually thinking, "Hang on a sec, I'm actually, I'm actually, that's what I should do." You know what I mean? But it's really not, because like when you do all these cool and fancy moves, in the middle there, what's going to happen is you're going to forget about all these other good stuff that you need to do, all the small detailed stuff, such as those small little moves. So I don't know. I just believe that people should watch it because they got the basics down, to a T. Where now what we're watching is advanced stuff. You know what I mean? And everybody wants to do the advanced stuff without actually learning how to bump properly to begin with, and then go from there. So,
or even just the purpose of what everything is supposed to be about. Like that gets lost a lot. They're like, what moves can I string together? And you know what I watched the other, it was a little while back now, but I watched Spiros Arion and Jack Briscoe. It was like, it was fucking so badass, man. Like the crowd was going absolutely ape shit for this. And it was like so simple. It was just a real great fucking match. If it's on YouTube, you can find it very easily. It was for the world title, I'm pretty sure. And I think it ended in like a count out or something like that. But like they had them the whole time. Like there was no piped in crowd in those days. Like either the crowd was going off or they weren't. And
they had it.
There's
had
something there.
Spots. They had a couple of spots, but the rest of it's just going with the flow. The majority of it was just
gritty. It was gritty.
Yeah.
Like it was. They were selling like two blokes, beating the piss out of each other, and like a guy trying not to lose and a guy trying to win, and it just it was very engaging. And I saw this thing. So with old boxing, like when people watch like Muhammad Ali fights and things like that, a lot of people, the statistics are like a lot of people tune out early or don't watch these fights because they're in black and white. There's something that people can't get into. And I think that a lot of this old wrestling, for the same reason, people aren't watching it because like psychologically you're like, what have I got in common with this? What interest can I have in this when I've got this beautiful high definition Technicolor picture I could be watching instead? But yeah.
You know who I've been watching recently? A lot of Gentleman Chris Adams. And I'm watching a lot of the WCCW stuff. Like his super kick was like, honestly, like you want to see a suit, like, mate, that kick looked like it would take someone's fucking head off.
What
like,
year is that?
It was during the 80s. It was during the 80s. He was one of the very few British guys that came out and one of the not the first, obviously, but one of the first that made a big impact, especially in WCCW. He teamed with like Gino Hernandez, as a dynamic duo, and they're unbelievable. So good to watch.
But yeah, his kicks were crazy. But like talking about like how like the business was in the 80s, where it was like every match very simple, like hip toss, arm drag, and now like, do you also think like looking at how the crowds are as well, like the expectation of the fans, where the fans are now probably more smartened up to the business than what they were back in the 80s? And do you feel like the fans' expectations demand, or they expect the wrestlers to, push themselves to new limits and stuff like that?
Well, who works for who? Like, who's deciding what the show is? Is it the people in the ring, or is it going to be the fans who dictate? And I think you'll find that the smart fans are quite a minority. It's a very niche market. Like, I don't see the sense in trying to appeal to that when we've shown with our shows at Mortdale RSL, that crowd is growing, and these are all people that are like going, oh, pro wrestling, cool. Like they don't regularly tune in and watch it. They're not people that watch it on TV. You keep things nice and simple. You keep things nice and snug and like just sell the physicality, sell that, like give people that, get back to that kind of, I guess stereotype is the word for it, but like when people think of pro wrestling, they think of like the gorilla press slam and they think of like these big punches and elbow drops and shit like that. Like that's getting over. That is getting, not just getting over, that's getting repeat business. You've got people in our crowds that are going, oh, such and such, he did that last time. And oh, he's got this guy this time. Like there's something there. And I don't think we're reinventing the wheel. I think if anything, we've turned it back a little bit with those shows, and they're fucking successful. They're making money in a company that wasn't making money a little while back. And all it took was just that slight change of gears and just that simplify, appeal to people who, you know, are looking for something interesting, maybe make some new wrestling fans. But goddamn, man, like if I was trying to appeal to all the people who want to watch, you're not going to get a Young Bucks match out of me, guys. It's not going to happen. I can't physically do it, and I don't have an interest to do so.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, so, I don't think it's gone though. I don't think the actual that wrestling aspect is gone at all, because I've seen a lot of guys actually go out there and wrestle. The smart wrestlers, they can actually see all those details. All the smart wrestling fans, they can also see all those details. So if they see that wrestler knows exactly what the fuck they're doing, the way they move, their positioning, the way they do things, they'll be like, oh, fuck, you know, he's good. He knows what the fuck he's doing.
Good
you know
shit gets over.
People see it, you know what I mean, when it comes to that type of stuff. It doesn't mean you always have to use just those simple things. You'll throw out a big move here and there and whatnot, different sequences and spots. But it's something that I think personally the real fans can actually see talent, you know what I mean? And the ones that actually know that they're just spot gimmick type wrestlers, the smart ones can see that too, because you see the way they run and their timing. It's just, it doesn't look it looks fabricated, way too fabricated. It doesn't look, it was acting rather than reacting type of wrestling. So
I think it gets a different type of reaction too. I think that you've got, you know, you've if you're trying to work and you're trying to get some emotional responses and stuff, that has that type of reaction. But then if you do your stunts and stuff and it comes off, and it was a very clean spot, and you know it was shown that you're very athletic and everything like that, that'll get some acknowledgement too. But it's not going to get that fucking smash that guy heat. It's not going to get that, and that's fine. Like I think someone just said, like there's all different types of people that have interest in different things, and for the people that like that kind of thing, that's the kind of thing those people like.
But you know what? I feel like there is a place for it in wrestling. Like there's a place for everything really in wrestling, that I feel like a company can have, a good company should basically be like a buffet where it's like, okay, you know what I mean? You like tag team wrestling, here's the best tag team wrestling match that we can put on for you here tonight. You like a hardcore match, here's a hardcore match. You like it, you know, a high flying lucha like spot fest match, here it is. You like chain wrestling, you know what I mean? Like if a promotion can be really good and cover all those bases, then I feel like that is offering and appealing to a broader audience as well, because it's like there's something there for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, you can do that. You just don't want to get to the point where your card turns schizophrenic and isn't consistent, and each match going together is world building, right? Like everything has to logically fit together. Come and see us on August 19th and you'll see what I mean, because we do have all that. We do hit all these different styles and things. I'm actually really excited for that card, because the matches that are coming, the matches that are going to be on that night, is a great example of exactly that. And I think that's, out of the shows that we've done at Mortdale, this is going to be the strongest one. Guaranteed. And we've done well so far. So I totally agree. Like you've got to have those like matches that stand out, that are like got that real athletic sort of style to them, and like get the wows and all that, because that is still part of the entertaining aspect of the shows. And
Absolutely.
then you have those things, the real gritty, rough sort of matches. You have something sort of in between. Maybe someone gets hit with a piece of furniture or something like that in there as well, because that's also become part of the landscape as wrestling has evolved as well. So I think you're right. I think you got to try and be as broad as possible without being crazy and killing what is happening or what will happen.
But I think that also comes down if you've got yourself a solid roster that can understand that and go out there and do what they do well. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I think it is achievable. Depending on the roster. Yeah. But what do you feel like now, like being like a booker, trainer, what has been the most challenging thing for you as being like in the booking position?
More of an advisor than a booker.
Right.
Yeah. Like at the end of the day, we've got Nan, the promoter. She knows what she wants to see. She knows what she likes. And I sort of help her piece it together. Yeah. Help it make, help it sort of make sense when it needs to. I think like her and I have a very similar outlook on what we'd like to see. So
yeah,
it's a pretty good sort of relationship. Sorry, what was the question again? It was,
I said, what do you think's been the most challenging thing since you've become a booker or become the booker for AWS?
Motivating people to do the shitty work. Motivating people to do the hard work. Motivating people to do the less glamorous parts of it. We do have a very, very good crew. We've got a good bunch of like vets. We've got some in-between guys. We've got some very fresh new people that aren't working anywhere else. And I think that like the culture and the vibe, especially backstage, is really cool. Like there's no cliques, there's no problems. It's everyone's on the same page. We all come together. We all do our part to put on a really good show. The ring flies in the venue. The ring flies out. It's all very, very efficient now. We've got some good systems in place. And like with training and stuff, we've got a few things in the works. I don't want to say anything yet, but we've got some very cool shit that we're looking at the moment in the not too distant future. And the same with Australian Wrestling Superstars as a company with venues and future plans as well. So, yeah, I mean, this business is always going to be a hard slog to do the things that you want to do, but when you pull it off, my God, it actually ends up being worth it,
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah. With the way that the business is now and the way that like how everything went beforehand, do you feel like a company and like if you could have like booked yourself now, like from how the heat that you did sort of get outrage you did get earlier in the year, do you think if you use that and you could have booked that into an intergender storyline and it could have told a story?
Yeah, I was interested to do that, but all the marks got worked instead. Oh well.
But is that something that you would still be willing to do, to go in and do a feud and to go down that, like, let's knock down that fourth wall for a minute?
Yeah. I mean, I think that I am a more than competent and capable professional wrestler, and I like to push myself. When they asked me to do the Iron Man match, for instance, I said, yeah, fuck. I didn't even think about it. I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's have a go. I'm not going to turn anything down because to me, if I can find things that are outside of what I would normally do, I'm at the point where, man, I've done so much of the same shit that if I can do something new, if I can try something new, if I can find a new challenge and then pull it off, like, yeah, 100%. Like I don't shy away from anything if I can see it making sense and if I can see it being engaging, if I can see it getting some heat, if I can see it getting some interest and selling some tickets, absolutely. I'll fight any one of you ladies out there.
Do you have a particular wrestler that you would like to do this feud with? Like if I had a gun to your head now and said you had to pick one woman in Australian wrestling or female presenting person in Australian wrestling to wrestle or have a feud with, who would you choose?
How did you come back to this conversation, Piers?
I don't know. Just, I just, I don't know. I just,
because Piers wants those clicks, brother. Piers wants to upset some people, so they go fucking Tyson, and then they'll click.
No, bro. It's not about upsetting people, bro. You've just turned around and said that you would do it. Where the podcast before you said, no, I don't really want to do that. But now you're saying you would.
No. Look, I think that a lot of what was misunderstood about what I said was it wasn't that I ruled it out. It wasn't that I said it should never ever happen. Put a pin in that because I've got something to say about that. But it has to make sense. It has to be worth doing. You have to set it up right. You don't just treat it like any old other fucking match. You do it right.
Love you, Devlin.
And people don't have the patience to do shit right. People don't have the understanding to do shit right and making it make sense. Mind you. So remember when I said, maybe some people don't, no one remembers what I fucking said. But I said something to the effect of, do you need to be putting intergender violence in front of families, women, children, families, all of that? And I didn't think it was a good idea. I thought that you could get to a point where maybe you'll upset some people. And you know what? Not so long ago, there was a show where a man put his hands on a woman. There was a physical altercation between a male and a female on a show. And then I knew people in the crowd sitting there.
Yeah.
People got up and fucking left, man. People had no interest. People did not want their children seeing that. So if you're going to do it, you better do it fucking perfect. Otherwise, you have a good chance of alienating a sector of your crowd and giving yourself a bad name. Like, I don't think you're going to be able to convince any of those people that decided to leave on the night to buy a ticket to a wrestling show again.
I think like it's definitely something that, like, as a parent, you know, like would I let my kids watch wrestling? Yes. Would I let my daughter watch women wrestling men? No, because it's like a man punching a woman in the face. I don't want my little girl to see that and think that it's okay for him. Like, even she's too young to comprehend that the business is a work, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Same with my son. Like, I wouldn't let him watch my elder son or my younger son. It's the same thing. It's like their brains aren't formed enough to understand what wrestling really is.
And that's why you have to do it right. That's why you have to do it fucking right and build it right. And like, if I honestly think that if you are working an intergender match and a guy punches a chick in the head, you're not fucking working the match correctly. Like, you use that becomes a tool in the match. That becomes something that you can build to, something you can take away, something that you can, if you have to do it, make it worthwhile. Because like you said, man, there's a lot of people that don't want that shit in front of their kids. Whether you like it or not, kids are a fairly large sector of our crowd.
But look, in saying that, I can still sit down and watch and can watch a man wrestling a woman, and if they're both good workers, I can enjoy the match from, like, you know what I mean? I can sit there and get into it and I'm go, okay, this is cool. You know what I mean? But it's like anything, bad wrestling's bad wrestling, good wrestling's good wrestling.
That's it.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what I can sort of sit down and appreciate of it. Yeah. But like I said, you know, I also wouldn't let my daughter and my boys watch Pulp Fiction either. You know what I mean? So, like,
I guess that's the thing. Like you say, you're bringing it back to that point. Like, you want to make it as broad as possible and make it appeal to as many people as possible. So you have to have that in mind if you're going to do this stuff. Like, you know,
but it's knowing your audience. It's knowing your audience as well, and knowing what is going to appeal to them and what's going to turn them away as well.
So, who would you pick?
Match wrestling.
Would I pick to have a?
Yeah.
Who? Are you asking me or are you asking him?
The room.
Okay.
People in the chat. Who should be the lady to take Tyson Gibbs down a peg? Comment below. You guys, what do you think? Who would you pick?
To peg. Okay.
Don't make a peg joke there, all right? All right. All right.
Okay.
Can we keep it
all right
out of the gutter for now? Oh my God. You've been so immature.
I would narrow it down to a couple, but I would say Jessica Troy. or Flame? Because I reckon Flame and you could tell a good story, but I reckon Jess Troy, and you would have like an absolute banger of a series of matches, to be honest.
You can't say that, Piers.
Why?
You can't say that. You can't say banger. It doesn't work. In this society, you can't say it. No.
Oh, I don't mean it like that, Rob. Like, I mean, no, you know what I mean.
I thought the peg joke was bad. That's even worse, right?
Like, no, I think the matches would be fire. I think that would be great.
I think so too. So, yeah. Why don't we mend some bridges? Why don't we make a moment? If anyone's out there that would be interested in putting me over.
Wow. Wow. If anyone's interested in putting him over. Jeez, bro. Damn.
I don't even know what that means. This is a competitive sport. That's a weird thing to say.
I don't know what that means either.
No, dude, that's a weird thing. Working, all that shit. I don't know what.
Getting back, who would you want to work?
Dude, I think that Jessica Troy and Flame would be good. I mean, I think I like to think that I can work with anyone. I think that my style is adaptable enough, and I have enough sort of like working ability to make it work with everyone. I mean, I think that there's a lot of. Would you say that the majority of women wrestlers are PWA wrestlers? Because I have little to nothing to do with those people. Like they don't.
No,
I'm not really familiar with a lot of them.
Actually, Delta from Adelaide would be a matchup for you as well.
Newey Pro have a fair few women that wrestle. Yeah, I don't know the ratio. Yeah, it's PWA, Newey Pro,
MCW.
Yeah, of course. I say wrestle them all. Come on, bring them on. Bring them on.
Yeah, I do. What do you call it?
Bring them all on.
Like the modern Andy Kaufman. Kaufman.
I think you could pull it off.
Champion of the world.
You could do that. That's going to be your new name. So from now on, you're renaming the AWS belt to the Indigenta Champion.
No, let's not go crazy.
But as far as with what you've done in the past, like you've had your try at MMA. Is that still something that you're interested in pursuing as well?
No, I've had enough head trauma for one lifetime, I think, and I think I'm too old to fucking sustain any repeated shots to the dome. I've thought about going back to jiu-jitsu, but at the same time, that sort of rips your body apart as well. I like wrestling because it's that physicality, but it's like in a controlled way.
You're not actually trying to kill each other.
No, I don't know if I've even got that in me anymore, man. Might come off as an asshole, but I don't have that aggression like I used to.
So let me ask you this. Like when you and Rob wrestled each other, there was a series of promos that you guys were doing back and forth. Did you like at one point, like you were like, look so annoyed. And I was wondering, it's like, did you get worked a little bit by Rob? Like, cause was that like a complete work? Like that was what you were going for? Cause it was like, it kind of came across like you were like so fucking like irritated. Like
weird. Did I get worked or did you, Piers? I don't know.
I don't know. That's what I'm asking. One of us did, bro.
Mate, I'm telling you, I need to pull my shit back because a lot of people can't separate me from that guy.
Yeah.
Like the thing. The last podcast we did, right? And I had that little bit about Jimmy Townsend, right? Because I had that match coming up at the the 99 York Place.
Yeah.
And I put a bid in there. And I said to these people, I said, I'll do the promo in the podcast and you can clip it and we'll use that to promote the bout.
Yeah.
And I put that in there. And even on the night, you were like, are you serious right now? And I was like, good, we'll fucking see. Like, that was another contributing factor to me being unbooked there, is that people thought that I was serious and that I was going to kill someone.
So I don't know what happened.
I think you've got to have that. I think that's... Sorry, go on.
So I don't know exactly what happened, but you weren't booked. So that match didn't happen because why? What did you do?
People didn't feel safe around me.
What do you mean? Like as in as a worker or as a human?
As a person, as a worker. I know I've done 20 years of this, but all of a sudden now I'm...
look, for the record, I don't think you've ever taken liberties with really anybody. Actually,
Never.
I don't think you've ever. So
Never.
I don't know where it's going to begin. You know what I mean? Why would it begin now? You know what I mean? Unless you get very cranky. But
I think if... Well, look, I think that if anything, I really think that...
I never knew that. I really didn't know that. That's the reason why you weren't on that show. So
That's
what?
part of it. There was like a list. There was a copy and pasted list written by somebody else that was forwarded to me.
Really?
It was quite detailed.
But
I mean, it was all bullshit.
What did you actually say? Like you said you were going to hold him down and beat the shit out of him or something.
I did. I said I was going to put my balls in his mouth.
That's right.
The promo that you did with me, that would have scared people off.
Really?
I don't know. Did Piers? Did that look serious to you?
I knew it was a work.
You got fucking work, didn't you?
No, I said it was. I knew it was.
No, he knew.
What bullshit! Fucking did.
I was like, all right, no, bro. I know what I was
saying.
Shut the fuck up. I know what I'm being worked, bro.
You fell for it. You fell for it. It was convincing, wasn't it? Fucking real.
I did not. No, I didn't. I did not. I was like, all right. I was like, is this for real? And I'm like, oh, okay. And, hey, bro.
How come you asked the question if it wasn't real?
Hey, well, the same way that you asked the question when we had BDE on when they were talking about like Gore going, oh, Gore's a dick. And you're like, so what's the heat with you and Gore? Oh, yeah, no, there's no heat. You know what I mean? Like it was the...
You know what the confusing factor with that was? I had no idea who the fuck Gore was. You know what I mean? They kept on going, Gore. I go, what is that? That's what fucking Rhino uses to spear someone. Gore. And they're going, who the fuck are they talking about? I have no idea.
Dude in the mask, right?
It's Cracker Jack's
big guy.
brother.
Yeah, Cracker Jack's. Yeah.
No, I found that out afterwards. So, but anyway, you got worked, Piers.
Yes, a lot of people did. But
okay, so that's the reason why you weren't booked against Jimmy. Because I was wondering what happened in that match. I was wondering why that match didn't go. I thought you left or you didn't. You couldn't make it for some reason. So
I got unbooked. I got unbooked via Messenger 2 days out.
Shit. For the record, I don't think you would have hurt anybody. You know what I mean? Because look with the promos that he did and I did. You know, I didn't feel a thing when I wrestled him. Anyway, you know what I mean? I was very comfortable in there. Never did I feel like I was threatened. So even though his promos seemed menacing, you know what I mean? He probably sounded peed off, but maybe that was the convincing factor.
I think it's kind of the idea.
Yeah.
Not to let the cat out of the bag, guys, but
secrets. Yeah.
I'm just trying to be a bad guy, like for the show, right? You know?
Yeah.
This sucks, but you gotta say
but like, but going back,
but you have to, like, that's
no magicians anymore. You used to go, here's the fucking secret, go. You know, there's no magicians anymore. It sucks.
But going back to the promos, like when you saw Rob's like responses to yours and like taking the piss out of yours, like did he say to you, hey, like this is what I'm thinking about doing, or was this just like he said it like you just saw it?
I think honestly that's the best. That's a really enjoyable part of it. Like I said, I like that competitiveness of like fighting and everything like that. And I think that, you know, when I have a good chemistry with someone in the ring, it can be competitive. We can be trying to fucking outdo each other, but it's like give and take in a way. Don't tell the marks, but that's what we're doing out there. And the promo thing as well, I thought like, fuck, let's like, if we can jump on things and make it seem like, you know, an actual conflict, maybe people have an interest in what we're doing.
100%.
Call me old-fashioned, but that's what I kind of enjoy doing.
And for the record, we didn't even speak at all in regards to, okay, I want you to do this, I want you to do that. No, he came up with a promo, and I said, okay, what am I going to do? Okay, I came up with that. Then he sounded annoyed from the promo, and then he came up with that, and then I came up with a toilet, and then again with the snake, and I don't know, I can't remember what the fuck happened. Something else happened after that. But
there was a Snake's first cameo.
It was just Piers is gone. It was just one of those things that we didn't plan any of that. We just went from this to this to this to this, and we just waited to see what promo comes next, so then we can work and just go from there. You know what I mean? You couldn't have planned it.
It was actually really entertaining to see because it was like it was two different sort of things. Like, you know what I mean? Like we're getting like the comedic aspect from Rob and like having a bit of a laugh because he's taking the piss out of the bad guy being AKA you, and then you having the more serious, like, you know what I mean? Like it's a simple like straight man versus comedy man sort of like going head to head. But the fact is like the seriousness that you had and the annoyance that you had when the frustration that was like, you know what I mean? Like, we're not friends. I'm going to hurt you. And like really emphasizing certain words. And then like, but that like still not breaking Rob as well. Cause I remember like talking with Rob and like he was like saying, oh yeah, what he like, and talking me through like what he was thinking he was going to do. And I was like, oh, like, this is great. Like, like perfect. Like it's perfect response. Cause it's like, if he breaks and then starts doing the same thing as you, then it's essentially like, the same people saying the same things to each other back and forth.
Yeah. And I think that given like what Rob brings to the table, you know, his persona, his character, whatever you want to do. I hate unpacking shit like this on a public forum, but like, I think that if he'd done anything else, it wouldn't have made sense and it wouldn't have worked. And the idea is, and I tried this and some people that weren't supposed to be got worked, but
Piers.
I can't. I'm at a point where the genie's out of the bottle, the cat's out of the bag, the secret's out. Everybody has seen Secrets of Pro Wrestling revealed. They're in on the scam. So now, if I can convince a few people that maybe, just maybe, I'm going to fucking. Maybe I will take some liberties. Maybe a shot will fucking land. Maybe people have an interest in seeing what happens if that happens. I think you got to change the way you work now, man. Like you got to do stuff. Look at all the shit that was going on with AEW, with CM Punk and the Elite. Whether that was planned or not, it doesn't matter. But the fact is that the outside the ring drama, the reality is what is also part of. That's why pro wrestling is so fucking cool, is because it crosses that line between the made up universe that we exist in, but it also extends into the real world in a way. And you know, now Punk is getting heel heat from things that happen backstage and not in front of a camera.
100%. But you know what the thing is as well? Punk is like I don't watch AEW, but I've seen like little snippets here and there, and like how he's like coming across like I'm the real world's champion. You know what I mean? Like he's just stealing.
He stole my shit.
That's Harley Race's shit, bro. Like where you going? Your shit. That is good shit. But what is he doing? He's recycling something because the modern crowd, and especially the AEW marks, they have no fucking clue what fucking Harley Race did because they're more interested in, you know, thigh slapping and fucking, you know, high spots.
Yeah. Punk is a very smart worker. Very, very smart. He knows exactly what he's doing. You know what I mean? He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows how to. He didn't just get over because they actually gave him a push. He got over because he was that determined and he just knew. You know what I mean? he understands. He doesn't just have a straight vision on where he wants to go. He's just got multiple visions on how he wants to go about things. He's very, very clever. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of Punk, but when I do watch him and when I do see his things, is going shit. He's really good. He's really, really good.
I think he comes across as very authentic.
He's very from what I've been told by people I know over in the States, like there's kind of mixed feelings about him. Like if he's friends with you, then he's the coolest person in the world. But if you're not like tight with him, he's apparently the biggest cunt. Like I've heard guys say, like, yeah, he's an absolute prick.
But you have those friends, you know what I mean? You have those assholes. Everybody has an asshole, and it's just about your personality meshing with that asshole. You know 100%. What I mean?
It's like if two assholes can mesh together, then like they're a pair of assholes hanging out.
Yeah, but they don't both have to be assholes. But I'm just saying one can appreciate one asshole when somebody isn't, and vice versa.
You
know what we're saying?
But then there's also dicks. So then you've got dicks and assholes, and sometimes anyway, like we're getting off a topic here. But as soon as he said assholes, I was just like.
It's all perception, right? Some people will look and see an asshole, and other people will look and see a beautiful blooming rose. It's yes.
Say his name and he turns up.
Yeah, there he is.
Hello, Kel. How are you?
So
he speaks the truth. No cap.
100%. Gibbs the goat. You the goat. You are the goat.
The goat.
No hat or no cap. Sorry, I'm too old. No cap. Yeah, but man, what have you got coming up?
We've got AWS on the 19th of August at Mortdale RSL, which, like I said, very solid card. We've sold a bunch of tickets already. Actually, every time we go there now, we sell more tickets earlier. We get a lot of new people. Word of mouth is turning around. We filled that place up last time, man. I reckon we've probably only got room for another 20 people or so. But yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with that, and it's fun to work with like a repeat fan base. Other than that, I've been talking to UPW up in Queensland, looking to do some stuff there soon. Other than that, man, a lot of training and like sticking with that and staying sharp and working out with the younger dudes, and a few of those younger guys are going to start featuring on AWS shows soon too. So keep an eye out for them. But yeah, other than that, I'm blackballed from everywhere else. So not much else.
Fair enough, man. Do you feel like today you've been able to clarify a lot of things?
Sure.
Nah.
I don't really care. I couldn't care any less, honestly.
Buried. We're all buried too.
Yeah.
Like when you say clarify, what am I going to try and convince people that? Like,
I think I think like you had like you seem to have come with a different perspective than you have last time. And I was just wondering if you sort of wanted to sort of get out what you wanted to sort of say, if there was anything else that you wanted to sort of address.
All I want to say is come to AWS on August 19th. Come and see some good, solid Australian wrestling. And if you'd like to learn how to work people like Piers and associates, come and train with me. Drop me a message. Write me on Facebook. Write King Tyson Gibbs on Instagram. We will get you into training, and we will do all this stuff. We will cover all of this stuff. We're doing Sunday mornings. I'm having a ball. Everyone else that's coming along is having a ball. It's the thing that is like jazzing me the most on professional wrestling. And frankly, training, I think, is a fundamental that a lot of people are overlooking right now. It's super affordable, guys. We can tailor a package to suit membership-wise. Come in. Come and work. Come and work the marks.
Well to put it. But you've been watching the greatest podcast in the world, Tyson. Thank you so much for being on, and we got to do this again very soon. Robbie, man, thank you again for always being on Zucco. You are a legend. But until next time, guys, make sure you click that like button, follow, subscribe, all that good shit. Till next time, we'll see you again very soon. Take care. All the best. Peace.